This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 28 for October 30th. No, I guess 31st, Halloween 2005. Our Halloween edition of TWiT, and nobody's in costume, but I'm glad that, Roger, you brought your gun with you. Roger Chen from GameSpot magazine. We'll ask him what that thing is.
It's actually Patrick Norton's racing shot for his truck.
I am shocked. Why do you have Patrick shocked?
Because it just migrated down.
It's so cool. It's shiny.
It's really neat.
It's like a
Is it
BFG
aluminum?
9000.
Aluminum? It does look like that. Robert Heron is here from Digital Life TV.
Hey.
And Ziff Davis,
Yes.
PC Magazine, also from Digital Life TV, the #1 podcast in the nation on iTunes.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Hey, it's a good place to be. Mr. Patrick Norton wearing a kilt.
You are? He's wearing his
Ooh, sorry, a little too much information.
That down.
Kevin Rose,
Hello.
the first millionaire in the group,
Nice
is here.
try.
The first 100,000-aire in the group.
And also from System.org, Revision3, thebroken.org,
I need like a printout.
All that stuff.
Dig.com, and all those places. And also David Prager is here,
From
who
many
is
of the
helping
same.
him become a millionaire.
Trying.
We should start with that story. I wanted to start with George Takei is gay, but really we should start with the fact that Kevin is now worth $2.8 million.
No, I'm not.
Well, somebody is.
The company is.
The company in which Kevin owns majority shares has recently received an
Is it
investment
Dig or
of
Revision
$2.8 billion.
So Dig.com, Digg.com, got an investment from Mark Andreessen, Pierre Omidyar of eBay. Who else?
Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn.
Are they all together, or is it?
It's all together in a Series A round.
And how much money do they give you?
$2.8 million.
Do you want to see the best part? So, what kind of percentage did you have to give up in the company?
I didn't give up any type of ownership, like controlling interest
Do you
in the
have controlling
company.
interest
Oh, yeah.
now?
So we still have
Cool.
control of everything. That was a big deal because the whole thing is we hit this kind of growth rate where we had to buy servers like every week. And those kinds of servers are pretty pricey. So Google AdSense does not cover like the cost of like $4,000 servers, especially when you're buying like 2 or 3 weeks. So we just decided, it's time to go out and raise some money.
Wow.
And so we were lucky enough to get some really good folks behind us, and we got enough to last for a while now.
You're in a colo.
Yes, we have.
And how many
2.
servers do you have?
Right now we have 7.
And your own Cisco switch.
We have our own Cisco router. No, it's not Cisco. It's
Oh, I thought you were going to get a Cisco.
We do have a 7200 series, but I think we're getting rid of that one though. We're getting a new one.
How much bandwidth do you use?
A lot. That's the problem.
amazing.
Well, the problem is we're doing about 4 million page views a day now.
Wow.
And it's pretty insane. It's one of those things where we're hitting like walls like every week. We're having to add more and more servers. So,
Is there pressure on you? Because right now it's tech, and actually it's kind of, right now it's a certain kind of tech even. It's very distinguished, kind of that G4 crowd is influencing it. Don't you think? I mean, it's kind of...
I'd say
I think
there's
it's
a lot of
more.
Slashdot
I think
in
it's
there.
the Slashdot.
Really?
crowd.
You think it's more...
initially, I mean, obviously,
There's a
when
lot
we
of
first
case
started,
mods and...
when we first started, it was just, obviously I pushed the site on my own site, and like you've talked about it.
well,
So we got the people that we know.
You get the core group.
Yeah, the core group kind of got behind it. But then now it's really cool because we're seeing like stories that have to do with us. They get reported and removed from the queue because people have no idea who we are. So it's
That's
grown
good.
above and beyond
That's
that.
good.
So it's a new base of
Are you
users.
going to, though, do other channels? You have kind of intimated that you might do
That was part of the reason that we went after the money as well. We could have gone after a small amount just to get a few more servers and things like that and kind of keep ahead of the growth. But we want to hire some developers as well to kind of push out new features. That's one of the things that's been lacking on the site over the last couple months is that we spend so much time like optimizing queries to make sure that things are running fast that we've had to cut back on developing new features. So we need some really good PHP developers. Like we're looking for some. So if anybody out there is a PHP developer,
So you
we
don't
could-
buy... Who was it that said PHP is bunk? And
Probably Dvorak.
No. It was some big developer said, I don't know what they were pushing, but they thought PHP didn't scale very well.
Probably a Microsoft group.
Yeah,
maybe?
I think it probably
An
was.
ASP
Yeah, it
thing?
was somebody doing ASP.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you're right. It was somebody
Was
pushing
it?
ASP over
yeah,
PHP.
It's when you're building a new site, it's like it's either going to be Perl, it's going to be ASP,
Right.
PHP, but
But Mark Andreessen likes PHP.
Oh, he does.
And that's what matters.
He does
'Cause
indeed.
He's writing the checks.
that's right.
That's good.
He's a
So
great
it's
guy.
scaling pretty well for you?
Yeah, it's actually we're finally starting to. Part of the problem is when you build a site like that, you don't really. I mean, it was just going to be a project. It was one of those things where the developer developer, my friend Owen,
Right.
he's like, oh, I'll spend 2 weeks
Right.
developing it, and then I'll move on to something else.
Right.
And so we really didn't initially write it to like scale to multiple machines.
Right.
So now we're having to go back.
So you have to load balance.
Right,
and
exactly.
That's
So it's
actually
going-
tricky.
So we're writing some of that code to make
Yeah.
sure everything load balances properly, and we're pretty much there. So it's going to take a few more weeks and some more boxes, but
That's exciting. Congratulations.
It's crazy.
What does this mean for system and the broken, though? I mean, are you going to...
Well,
do
those are
less for
stuff.
that?
I mean, I spend my weekends working on that kind of stuff. You know, it's like we
He's
do.
got a day job now.
That's right. I got the 9 to 5. No, it's actually
There's a
put
new
more
office.
time into it than
New
that.
office, right?
Yeah, we're actually signing a lease for some office space here in San Francisco.
Now, see, you should just get the old Tech TV space.
Nah, it's too big.
Yeah,
a
it was
big
awful,
check.
too. It was ugly. Yeah, you don't want
let's
to be
go
there.
It is a big check.
Is it still empty?
Well, the funny thing about the old
Yeah, I think it is still empty,
it's
isn't
still
it?
empty.
No, they're putting. We went by there. No, you didn't come
yeah, I
with me,
wasn't
did you? No, I went with Dan, and they're going to shoot car commercials in there and stuff. They're going to roll cars in because you know how they have that.
Yeah,
back,
there's a
like,
lot of room in there. We used to
yeah.
bring cars in there, yeah.
Yeah. So
Good place to put car commercials. Okay. So is George... What happened with George Takei? He came out?
Let me see if I can find the link again.
We're talking about Sulu from Star Trek.
Transporter.
He came out.
CNN.
Do you think he's the only gay Trekkie? No. Who else?
Originally, I would
See, I want to hear, remember there was a great...
Bill Shatner.
Yeah, there was a great thing where Shatner and Spock were lovers. They took clips from Star Trek and they edited them together. It was
No,
hysterical.
I've never seen that
Oh
one.
my God!
It's so
Spock.
rude to think about.
This is a love that dare not say its name. It was really funny. It was all real clips, but they just edited it in just such a way. So I guess we don't really care what George Takei's sexual orientation
It's
is.
the
That's
25th
fine.
century, right? Or 26th, whatever century. that is.
No, actually, in real life, right now, he came out.
Oh, it wasn't on the. Oh, I was confused. I thought Mr. Sulu came out.
No.
Oh, all right, okay.
I didn't realize he was
It's
part of the
amazing, though.
internment though during World War II.
Yeah.
U.S.
He's that
citizens.
old?
Yeah, he's in his mid
was-
60s.
he
I
was-
believe.
He's
was-
68 years old.
So the Japanese internment camps in California, a lot of Japanese Americans were put in there. So he was one of them. I didn't know
He
that.
kind of had that stigma, and then the whole thing about suppressing his desires, and finally he's free. So
He suppressed his.
show.
I don't know that he suppressed his desires.
Probably not.
I don't think that he did, but we don't know.
According to the article I read.
You know,
I think it's because they didn't use his character a lot. It was
that was what was really.
it was all kind of.
It was very
Bill
tense
and
about that.
Leonard.
Yeah, Mr. Sulu really should have had a bigger role in that show.
Well, one person posted that they were irritated at the timing of the story of Sulu being gay because yesterday Myers withdraws and then Scooter Libby resigns and that
They're
here
trying
comes
to
George
bury
Takei pushing these stories off the front
Did it
page.
push them off the
I
front
don't know.
page?
That's one of these bloggers said
I
that.
like
There's
that.
like 400 stories up on Google if you search on.
Really?
on
That's interesting. I must be looking at the wrong part.
And
of
they've all
Google
come out
on
in
this.
like the last 12 hours.
I'm looking.
Well, it's because the Trekkies and the sci-fi fanatics are the most the people that
they're
are
pushing that
put-
stuff.
No, this is
are on the web all the
E!
time.
Online, New
Wow.
York Daily News, Japan Today.
And I was
the
feeling
Mercury
guilty
News,
about
the
covering it on
Sun,
Twit. I guess not.
It's a
KTVO,
big
Proud
story.
Parenting. I mean,
Proud
it's
Parenting,
everyone.
wow.
UPI, CBC.
So what's your Halloween costume? Are you going to wear the kilt?
I think I'm going to be a sailor this year.
Really?
Jeez.
A little sailor boy? Really?
I'm a little sailor boy.
Little hat?
Well, my wife's
Take
dressing up
pictures.
as Rosie the Riveter.
Oh, so you're going to do a 40s thing. That's
yeah.
cool. Robert, do you dress up for Halloween?
I'm debating at this point. I'm going to a party tomorrow night, and
After the latex thing last year.
yeah,
I think he's going to wear a mullet.
I think,
Going
he,
as my-
I, think
my
he,
hillbilly.
I think he is wearing them all. I don't want to say anything.
totally up to my stylist lady. I don't tell her what to do. She just,
just does it.
They're coming back.
I want to try that.
Apparently.
I hear they're coming back.
Robert
I was
is
this
kind
close
of
to
the
getting, cutting
bellwether.
it off last week, but she's like, you know what? I think it looks cute. And that's all I needed to hear.
It's a sholo.
Go, baby.
Short
Do
in
your
front,
thing.
long in the back. Do you do Halloween?
Yeah, I
do your
stopped.
people do Halloween, Roger?
He's going to be a Chinaman.
No.
geez, thanks.
That, somebody got fired in Sacramento for saying that word. Be careful.
I'm not
Be
employed
careful.
here.
Oh yeah, you can't really be fired from TWiT. That's the only.
I'll be indignant for Halloween.
Be indignant. That's good. You could go as Mr. Sulu.
It's true.
I mean, you're Chinese and he's
Don't go there. Just
Japanese.
stop. Back
But-
away.
but-
Back away from the
okay.
cliff.
Oh man.
We can edit this out.
Well, I was gonna go as ground cover. I was just gonna get a bunch of leaves. But I got talked into going towards Monty Python style skit here with Kevin and
Because I called him up and I was like, okay, I need the guy that
what did I
claps
say?
the little things, the coconuts
Oh, you're
together.
gonna do the coconuts?
Because I have the night thing, so I'm gonna.
No,
do
he
night
said,
thing.
I want you to be in. I want you to like do a Halloween costume with us. I said, well, look, if this is a group costume and I have to be the one that looks like a schmuck,
You are.
I don't want to
Coconut
do it.
boy.
He's like, yeah, we want you to be
He's
the guy playing the
Coconut boy.
coconuts.
Well, we have Keith's gonna be the guy that got his arm chopped off, the black Black Knight.
Oh, that's good.
He has the costume. It's awesome.
That's great. You can buy a Black Knight
Yeah, you
costume?
can buy a Black Knight costume.
So you're a knight who says knee?
No, I'm not one of the knee knights, but
see, I
Knights of
get
the
one.
Round Table.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
He's Arthur.
He's Arthur.
With the answer about this one.
What? Yeah. What is your name?
But he does have, speaking of gay, he has the gayest looking outfit.
It is rather.
Do you have to wear tights?
It's no tights, but the boots are just big, and I have glitter on the shoulders. It looks like chainmail.
Where'd you go?
Some crappy costume shop.
It's a Kiss
It was
concert right there.
It's borderline Kiss concert, but it was like
That's
$20, and it's too small, so it's
So
like.
are you
going
going
to
to go trick or treating? What are you guys doing? You're going to a party?
Yeah, we're going to a party tomorrow night. One of our friends is throwing a party here in San Francisco.
I'm being John Paul II.
Did you just ask if we were going to go trick or treating
I don't know. Why would you be? I don't know.
in Petaluma?
I'm going trick or treating with my my kid. Yeah, I'm going to be John Paul II. I got the hat. I've got white makeup, rotten teeth. I'm in the late John Paul.
I'm with you.
Yeah,
when do
it'll be good.
when do they stop trick or treating now?
Oh, like a real-time version of the Pope?
Yeah,
Real time.
how
real
old?
time. If somebody asks me, that's what I'm going to say. I'm real
11 years
time.
old, 12 years old.
Yeah, real time.
So you're a real-time version of the Pope.
It's the geekiest thing I've ever heard.
You guys from the Catholic Insider podcast are going to be all over us.
Oh, I love him. He sounds like this, but he's got a Dutch accent, so it's the strangest combination.
Professional
Have you
radio
listened to
voice
that?
through the Dutch
Yeah. He talks like this, but then he has this Dutch accent. Though he's talking like I never. It's the weirdest combination. So Google Base, base.google.com, and
Which
they
was
took
up
it
for
down.
like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But enough people got screenshots.
Plenty
and
of
so
them.
now, of course, everyone wants to know if they're going to take down eBay and Craigslist.
I don't think it's after
What is it,
eBay.
though?
Well,
I think it's more after Craigslist.
It's
than
Craigslist and classified ads. It's a database, right? And you fill out a form. It says put your stuff on here, and they mention selling your truck, but they also mention your business. So it would be a way that people could search. You don't, it's a website, right? I mean, except without a website, it's a database. And when people search Google or search Google Base, they'll find it. But I think it is. I think it's classified. I don't think it hurts eBay because they don't have they don't have transactions.
Well, except for the fact that they own a huge chunk of Craigslist.
They do?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know
they made a
that.
huge investment in Craigslist.
eBay owns, I might be wrong, I think 20%?
Oh, okay. So that
Like I said-
hurts eBay then.
I know that I remember when eBay bought part of Craigslist, everyone was terrified that they were going to ruin it because Craigslist is great. They haven't had a site redesign.
It's still as
ever,
funky
and
as
it
ever.
But it
Yeah.
works just great. So it makes you think like, how could you take down Craigslist? It works just great, but there's always room
Well,
for
Craigslist
improvement,
is
and-
taking down the newspapers. Newspaper classified revenue is down fantastically.
yeah.
It's hurting them badly, and this would just be more of the same, right? I mean,
Well, imagine enabling better function of Google search on Craigslist, and then imagine using like Google's ability to like localize stuff into it at the
That's
same
cool.
time. You don't even have to go into like Google
when
San
it-
Francisco or Google LA.
It
You
just
just go
knows.
Google will know where you are if you tell it.
Is this new, or did I just notice it? Because I signed up for, I have a Google account. When I do a search now, it'll tell me how many times I've been to the pages that come up in the results. Have you seen that?
It's like bookmarking them or letting you know. You can
but
save your
it-
search
no-
results.
Yeah, except that when I do it, so I do a search, and the top site is a site I've been to. It says you've been here 4 times.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't seen
Is that new, or
You have
is
to
it
log
just
into your
Search history function?
It's kind of like that. Except
Wait, is
that
it through a cookie or through because
it's
you're logged
through
in?
a cookie. It must be through a cookie. Well, I know because I have a Google account,
Right.
so it
then
does
you have
keep
to
track
be-
of your searches and stuff.
but you
So
have to
I'd
be
never
logged
noticed
in?
this before. That it's keeping track of how many times I've been to a site.
Yeah.
Does that scare you a little bit?
Well,
You don't have to log in. You know, if you know it's doing it. Like
I should just log out. But see, that's the whole idea. They get you. It's the AOL model. They
haven't
get you
seen that.
sucked in on all these.
Do you
searches.
use the-
I think it must be new. I just noticed it.
Do you
for
use
some-
the Google personalized homepage?
That's my homepage.
Okay, well,
so I'm
that's-
always logged into Google.
That's
but
why
that's right. They
I've
get you
never
sucked
seen it
in.
because I don't use that, which means it's got to be based
It's
on
part of
your
that,
login.
Yeah,
sure.
this was back in like May, I think.
That they started. Well, I know they did the personalized search, but this is the first time I've noticed these numbers. And again, it could well be they've been doing it since May. I just
Well, as long as they give you the ability to go in and turn it off. Yeah.
Right.
Do you
That's
think
all
it's an
ask for.
interesting statistic for you to see how many times you've been to certain places?
Yeah, it just worries me that they know it too. I mean, that's exactly the thing that people get upset about spyware for keeping
But
track
I mean,
of
it's
where
like
you've been.
this is a conversation we had like 10 years ago with people who are running ISPs. It's like my email is going to be in your server. I mean,
Right.
you look at that stuff like, no, I am a benevolent manager of the email
Well,
system.
Gmail doesn't bother me, and that's what the complaint was about Gmail too. But that doesn't bother me so much.
I mean,
They
if
are aggregating more and more of what I do.
Yes, they are.
if people are worried about that stuff, they shouldn't send their photos to a 24-hour photo development place.
That's the truth.
Because my friend used to work in one. He said, "Yeah, there's some pretty."
They keep the good ones.
My friends had coffee book
They can
tables.
make. They can make
Are you
duplicates of it.
serious?
They had the albums.
Yeah, you
and they
anybody,
used to
like,
collect
under the age-
worst of it and
people-
have
yeah,
it laying right
people-
there. And I was like,
People
wow.
think that no one sees these photos when you send them off. And
I have a
there's
friend
like
who's
20
a
people.
a radiologist in the hospital, and they also have a book which they share of fun X-rays.
How the hell?
Exactly, Patrick. How did
Now get this? The light bulb didn't break.
Yes, exactly. I've seen these pictures.
Ooh, they got to worry about that. I could see at a photo lab you don't have to worry about it quite as much, but the medical malpractice.
Oh, yeah.
But you know,
I'm sure you sign your life away when you go into a hospital.
Yeah, but I don't think they're supposed to distribute your X-rays around. Well, they take the name. There's no name on it.
John Doe's.
You'd be amazed. That's all I can say.
That's funny. I didn't know you could do that.
Was it Bill Joy who said, get over it, privacy's already dead?
Yeah, it wasn't. It was Scott McNeely. Same idea, though. Yeah, he said, forget it. But I think it's still something worth fighting for. I'm
not saying it's not worth fighting for.
The only way to do it, though, is not have a credit card. Pay cash for everything.
And of course, you'll drive everywhere because you can no longer,
Right.
buy
Don't
an
leave
airplane
data.
ticket.
Don't leave any data crumbs. But it's impossible now.
It is.
Well, it's
Be a
impossible in
monk.
the United States without a lot of effort or really interesting lifestyle.
Well, you have to withdraw. You have to literally drop out of the.
There are a lot of people off the grid in the United States.
Are there?
A lot of people
Yeah.
off the grid. A lot of people off the grid in this city.
There's an interesting initiative. This isn't related, but it is related. In San Francisco and the surrounding counties want to keep track of homeless people because the problem is they go from county to county, right? So they want to track them. Which
Chip them?
Chip them. What are they going to do?
RFID them or something?
Yeah, they're going to track them. I think that to me, that's so you can't drop out of it, even if you're a homeless person.
That's been a problem though, for a long time, for like at least 10 years.
Floating homeless.
Basically, people will sign up for services
Right.
in every county and
Yeah.
anywhere the BART goes, basically here in the Bay Area, and they collect accordingly. And
There's also some traditions of dumping where
Right.
people from outlying counties, especially
Right.
affluent suburbs, will drive
Get in the van.
homeless people. Yeah, literally.
You're going to Oakland.
And then a lot of other cities for a long time were simply saying, we'll give you a free bus ticket to San Francisco.
Right.
And it was like,
Because they have got great services.
yeah.
And the climate's nice.
Which is good and bad at the same time. But I hear a lot of complaints from the locals around here how it's getting worse.
So we're all in IPTV spaces, pretty much. Everybody here is. That's kind of weird. How did that happen?
I don't know.
It's all the Tech TV
They
refugees.
didn't give us what we wanted, so we did it ourselves.
We just did it ourselves. I think it's kind of neat, really.
Somebody made a really nice compliment. They referred to the G4 takeover as Tech TV as the spawning of the. They called it the spawning of the Xerox park of IPTV.
Well, that's a little bit nicer than we deserve, probably.
Yeah,
but,
I agree, but it was.
but that is
wow,
neat. It is kind of like that. We're all off doing our own thing, and what's nice is we're all together. It's co-opetition.
Co-opetition.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't mind what you guys. I think what you guys are doing is great. It scares me when I see that Comedy Central's got 4 online IPTV channels.
Well, anyone can do it, and the pros can have a lot of
better than
money.
anybody,
Well,
yeah.
they can have a lot of money. They can probably, but
What's the
there's-
story with this? They're the first network to do this, yes?
Well,
Is it
but
a-
there's none. I mean, there's. Go ahead. There's. I mean,
I was just gonna, personally, I'm going to say, who cares? It's just streaming content. I mean, everyone's been doing this for a long time. You go on MSNBC, we've seen that for like the last
CNN,
5 years.
yeah,
CNN.
MTV.
It's like,
ABC
But they're
News.
pitching it like it's 4 channels, like it's a little.
well,
like,
Yeah.
that's like
So maybe
all
it's
right,
a-
how are we going to
maybe
make this
it's
pop,
just-
people?
it's
Let's
a marketing
let's
thing.
get to
Yeah, it's a
your
marketing
PR
thing.
people,
Yeah.
and it's like
Exactly.
we're the first
So
company. It's
So it's not a network. It's basically a website with streaming content
no,
on
no.
demand.
Mr. Prager, you don't seem to understand what we've done here with Comedy Central. We've leveraged our extraordinary content. Yeah, but think about it. How do you know when it's PR? There's leverage, there's synergy, there's
But now,
Bandwidth.
well, if they were to do a web page where there's 4 channels, this is the rough stuff for over 21. This is 4 different channels. You click it, and it was on all day, all night. It was a channel
Right.
that was on your computer. That to me would be. I mean, that's saying we don't need cable anymore, right? I mean,
Yeah.
But I mean, CNN said that.
But-
I mean, there's still a lot of money being made in cable. But
Yeah.
CNN said a while back that much earlier this year, they're like, we're going to put whatever we want online.
Right.
That was.
But I
that
don't mean
was a
just
shot
clips. But I
across
mean, you
the
just turn it
bow.
on and it's on.
No,
It's-
but
it's
Comedy
hot.
Central says like they don't. They're going to put in like a lot of 3-minute things. They think
Oh,
that
it's all
like a
short.
half an hour
Right.
show
Yeah.
is still going to be watched
Well,
on
I mean,
normal TV. And
that's a fundamental argument right now.
Which reminds me, this is we're done because we're only going to do 25 minutes from now on.
but it means their stuff is totally different than a lot of Digital Life TV is available streaming, but it's also available to download. You can't download any of this stuff.
that's
that
the
Comedy
problem.
Central's doing.
Everyone
You can
wants to
download
download
Twit,
and
you
keep
can't-
their content.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a huge divide because there's people. I've sat in an office and have been told, there's really no market for this long stuff on the web. People
Right.
don't want it. And it's like, what? BitTorrent, VLC,
Yeah. Right.
10 million clients in
do you
3.5
watch-
months.
you know
What do you
the
think they're watching?
Do you watch Nerd TV? I wouldn't want to watch that streaming. I'd rather just download and watch
Download
it
it.
and be able to sit there and watch it
But
anywhere.
if you think about it, they like streaming because you can't save it. You can't distribute it yourself. You can't take out the commercials.
And it's easier
not,
for
you can't
advertising.
TiVo it.
That's actually
It's easier for
You
advertising.
have to watch the ad. You can't skip. There's no 30-second skip.
Yeah, but I think it's not so much that they're worried. They can count the ad that way.
Yeah.
If you download
That's
it,
true.
and
It's better.
It's better for
It's like
them. They can
it
make more
drives
money.
traffic to their website, number one, and two, they're taking advantage of what's already available online. Odds are people have already recorded these shows over the air and posted them to some torrent site. So why not redirect that traffic to your website and provide the downloads right there in a format that
But you can put up the
promotion
streaming
for
ads,
that.
and you can have around. They're already on your website. You can stick ads anywhere else.
You should see some of some of the new tools that are coming out for the Flash, which is what a lot of people are using.
Flash video is so
And
easy
but
because everybody has
it's-
Flash.
But they're migrating the tools across Flash to other codecs, and you'll be able to pick roll-in spots for ads, lower thirds that pop in on ads.
Well, there's even
iPod,
sites
like
now that
iBlasters.
take a stream and integrate an ad into it and then send it out to you.
Yeah.
So they're on the fly.
And that's what
Yeah.
annoys me about regular TV, is why I started downloading shows in the first place, is to avoid that. You watch a show in like primetime nowadays, they'll have a lower third pop up in like the first 10 seconds that the show comes back from a commercial. Then they'll have some crawl up the side for another show that may be coming up. later in the
Discovery does that
evening.
a lot.
Yeah.
And you can no longer,
Drives
I
me
mean, you're
crazy.
getting like 2/3 of the show being cut off due to these ads.
And
that are
TiVo
now
wants to do it too.
dynamically
TiVo
popping
wants to do
up.
it in its own interface. They're going to start doing that. So I'm already putting Serenity onto my iPod video so I can watch it on the plane. I think that'll be fun, right? What what's the deal with iPod video encoding? Have you guys kind of started working on that? Is
It's
it easy to
It's
do?
one click.
Video
If you use the QuickTime Pro, what do you do?
Do you get Videora for free? That's
Oh
totally
yeah,
the way to go.
Videora. Yeah, I downloaded that.
Just watch. I mean, the only thing you have to be careful is if you're.
do you have to have QuickTime 7 to do that? It does it without that.
Not without the. You don't need the Pro version.
Okay.
I mean, the biggest thing is just making sure when you're encoding that you're paying attention whether or not your original content is an HD widescreen format or if it's 4:3.
You want 320 by 240.
Well, everything ends
You
up
want
being
4:3.
320 by 240, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can encode for 40 by 480 on the iPod, which would be fine if you're playing back on a TV.
Yeah, but I mean,
if you're doing MPEG-4, but that it screws it up on the
Yeah,
iPod
you're either going to
screen.
skinny vision it, or you're
Right.
going to cut it off, or you're going to have that little tiny. What's interesting?
Yours had bars on it.
Yeah, but it all depends on how you encode it, and also depends on whether you have widescreen playback. The other thing is you can do a pretty higher resolution output from the iPod or the iPod on the new video version.
I was
over
playing it on the
composite.
TV. I was watching Desperate Housewives on the TV. and
But you can get a higher
it looked
resolution,
okay.
like an
Right, you
NTSC.
get 40 by 480, right?
We just
No,
use-
higher.
Higher
like
than that?
652.
Well,
Some of the
really?
encoding,
Oh.
yeah.
We just use QuickTime Pro because it's a single click.
Yeah.
It's like
It's slow.
iPod video, click. And
But
it
the
just
problem
takes
with that, though, is
forever.
it's MP4. It's MPEG-4. It's not H.264.
No, it's H.264 when it does that.
No, it's not.
It's MP4.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I
I'm
think
pretty
it is.
sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would they do that? Why would they say output?
Well, what a bunch of people were
MPEG-4
like,
video.
Right,
Yeah.
but why wouldn't they just do H.264? So
Alex,
it's the
what is it? Is it-
iPod.
It takes more processor speed.
Oh, okay. H.264 is so processor intensive.
The bandwidth allowed
Yeah.
So
by
they, in order
MP4 is 2.4
for that to
megabytes
work on the,
per second. H.264 is
Yeah.
7.
So
So-
when it
How do you
creates an
get better video?
M4V file, it's
It's-
creating
yeah.
a MPEG-4 and
MPEG-4.
it's not using the H.264 compressor.
yeah, and it's creating a huge file. It's creating like a 200.
I know that.
Like
That's
for
the problem.
ours, we're watching like it's like 40% larger.
Yeah, see,
because
that's-
it's for
so,
a considerably.
so Videora is the way to go, and that lets you choose.
Yeah, but I mean, what Alex was saying is that part of the problem is the battery life's already miserable on it. It's
Right.
like 2.25, maybe 2.5 hours of battery life. And we've just started to do some testing over at PC Mag and over at Extreme iPod, but it's like we're looking to see what happens if we run it in H.264. I mean, do we lose even more?
You probably
battery
would because it's
power?
so intense.
Yeah, processing.
You know.
That's a-
Although, often you have processor intensive on the front end so that you can play it back easier, that it's not so bad on the other
Let me know
end.
what you find out. I'm
You do
starting
more work.
coding whenever you guys
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it's
Easy, that way I don't have to do anything.
Yeah,
I was like,
let Patrick do the work.
how does it work,
Well,
man?
no, but you saved my ass more than once. They said, Kevin, what are we doing with this? And why hasn't anybody sat down and explained all the video encoding options anywhere?
Well, that's what's
We
fun
can help
about this.
each other.
We're all figuring it out at the same
That's
time.
right.
I think that's the best thing.
Tiki TV does a good job.
Oh, we all love
Quick,
Lala.
quick, a drool cup.
Tiki bar.
What is this? What is this
Tiki
TTT?
TV.
But for a little while, as soon as
Is it
iPod
available?
video, as soon as the iPod,
number
the video
one
iPod,
right
it was
away.
like, popped up to number one. So of course, all of us, or at least I
There's a-
didn't.
yeah,
really-
yeah, I
I
wanted
was
to
like,
see
oh,
that.
what's this?
It's
I
hysterical.
saw the first episode and then
Red
the second
October, the
and
last one, is
third.
hysterical. The fourth,
It's
and the
about-
fifth.
Fourth and the
It's
fifth.
And
about
Lala
the
grows
email.
on you.
Lala's a.
I hear there's other people
she
on
does a
that.
great job. Yeah,
I know that tone.
she's
Tiki
downloading
bar.
very good talent.
Tiki bar. I don't know who they are. You and I both corresponded with them.
Yes, I talked to Dr. Tiki.
I asked them if they'd be on the
He
show.
calls himself.
He does.
He signs his emails, Dr. Tiki.
I said, would you like to be on the show? He said, only if we can stay in character.
So
They
you
don't
guys
wanna-
are fanboys.
A little bit.
Yeah, isn't that funny? We both wrote to
Little
the
bit.
Tiki bar.
Why don't you guys just dress up at the Zim for Halloween?
field?
I don't think I could pull that off.
I've already invested in Pope outfits, and he's got the the gay knight
That's
thing.
right.
So.
And my clapper.
Did you see this NTT? Did you see this NTT Docomo has created a joystick that makes your head bob?
Ooh.
Why do these keep coming back?
They've actually and this is the big phone company in Japan. So it's not like some cuckoo, mad scientist somewhere.
But they
put
market
electrodes on your head.
Oh, that would be so cool.
They put electrodes on your head and they've already steered a human through a maze using this thing.
Oh, nice.
Go
It's
like
the same way they make the
It's a-
rodents and the cockroaches.
It's
go
a
through
human remote control.
Wait,
This is a lawsuit.
So I have a remote control. I put electrodes in your skull, and I
Yes,
can make
you can steer me. And
You
the
better hope none of our producers are involved in this.
that's funny because you should say that because somebody said, "Oh, that's great. We can get you to be on the right camera." Just go like that.
I just want to see him hook up a Dance Dance Revolution
Well,
machine
that's
in an arcade.
that's what they're looking
You
at.
just
Or
bolt you
driving
in.
games, and your head will go like this as you steer. I'm sure that's what they're looking
That's
at.
a lawsuit waiting to happen here in the States, though,
Well,
right?
you probably couldn't do it. Well, I
Have
don't
you seen
know.
the game
I
shows they
smell
do?
bacon.
Yeah, the game shows are crazy.
I don't know
Yeah,
how they don't have
I'm
more
frying.
broken backs and necks.
I'm frying.
But they run it on
Probably
what
do.
network runs that stuff?
You notice when people
MXC,
fall
man.
on-
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
On Spike.
I mean, you think
they
about
dub over it.
Yeah, I don't like what Spike does to it. I want to see the original. It's the same thing
The
with
Spike
Iron
stuff's
Chef.
pretty funny.
Yeah, but it's like somebody making up. Reminds me when I was a kid.
Iron
that-
Chef, I can get like the subtitles in Iron Chef are great, but like the MXC, watching the guy go, "It's
That
Bob Parvo at Guadalajara works in chewing gum removal from Shoes at Tokyo's Grand Central Station."
All right,
It's
all
just
right.
like,
That's a great show.
All right. Maybe they'll stream that.
Takashi's Castle.
hey, talk about Lala.
Well, did you see that Microsoft got in a little trouble with Judge Kathleen Cotelli, whatever her name is, for over the trust settlement? They put out a memo that said that everybody who was going to make sell music in music stores had to, sell portable players had to ship it with Windows Media Player, or else. You must use Windows Media, and of course that's a horrible violation of their antitrust settlement. And the judge came down and she said, "How'd this happen?" Here's Microsoft's excuse. They said, "Oh, we got a new guy. He didn't know what the rules were."
Excellent.
That's awesome.
I got to remember that one.
So
Blame it on the new guy.
the new guy. It was the new guy, and somehow he wrote this memo and it went to every portable music player manufacturer in the world. So they've pulled back on that. The judge was very
Whoopsie.
upset.
How would you have the gall to say that anyway?
If you're Microsoft,
It's their place for sure.
But it's hard.
you
to-
must include Windows Media Player.
We're
You-
trying to ensure a consistent user
That's it.
experience, and if you're going to be part of our branded Plays for Sure system, you need to include blah blah.
Just
blah,
think of the
blah, blah.
leverage. You're so good at that, Patrick. You must have read far too many press releases.
Raised by salespeople. I've been reading press releases like 1,000 a year for the last decade. It blends.
Microsoft also says, I don't know if we want to believe this might be the new guy too, that the software industry is ill prepared to make use of the new dual-core processors from AMD and Intel. What they're really saying is Vista won't be dual-core.
Well, I mean, think about on this. There's this.
Which is kind of, if you think it's kind of bizarre, since they're introducing the Xbox 360 with
Three processors.
and they already developed the IDE and the APIs, for that system. So it seems kind of.
I think they're just
I don't
preparing
think
us for a
that's-
huge disappointment with Vista. That's what I think.
Programmers are still getting their feet wet, though, dealing with multi-threaded,
Well,
multi-core
don't you just
systems.
doesn't the compiler just do it?
No.
Yeah, but think about the thread we were reading online, where the guy was sitting there and he moved to a dual core system, and Firefox the performance went to snot, and he couldn't figure it out. He finally ended up reassigning it so it assigns itself to one processor
it wasn't threading
instead of being threaded.
And it was affecting every other application on the system, too, when you had that window open.
Ooh,
as
that's
well.
kind of scary. So if we all go out and buy dual-core Pentium Ds, we might have
Or
slower
X2
machines.
processors.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Has
used to
anybody
do
here
that-
have a dual-core?
We used to do that in our gaming machines. Remember
You
when we
assign it to one processor. Yeah, we had to.
We'd do the one processor would run the server and the other one would run
Right.
the actual game itself, and that actually
That worked
helped out.
fine. Yeah.
Strange.
Well, who was it? Carmack who said that the dual
Yeah.
processors are worthless for
Yeah,
that
he said
GDC?
currently he said that it would not come into its own until the next generation.
So now Microsoft's saying the same thing, which means it makes me wonder. Maybe I should just hold off on an X2.
Well, in particular for the Xbox 360, it's really about XNA the software platform that they're using, and hopefully maybe they can enable some tools in there that make it simply easier.
Yeah,
to,
all the games right now.
I don't know if you can really port
for the 360
single-threaded apps. I think you really have to take a look at what the application's doing overall.
Because you have to think about what's going on.
You have to, you have a lot of prediction you have to do.
Who's played with the latest Vista? You guys play with it at all? No?
I've seen a little bit.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's a beta.
Yeah.
I mean, why even bother? I mean, it's not going to look that way in a year, is it? I mean,
Well, I think it's going to. I think actually the only thing that's going to be consistent is the arrow and the glass interface, and there's going to be some stuff integrated in Windows Media Player 11, which will be available for XP, and Internet Explorer 7, which will be available for XP.
Mac OS. I swear,
It's pushing it that way.
I tell you.
So is it like at the point where 2000 was still known as NT5?
Windows Vista, like NT,
XP2.
only prettier.
What Microsoft really needs to do, to be honest, what they really, really need to do is start stealing some employees from Apple. That's what they have to do. I mean, that's what Google's doing to them. I mean, they should go and just hire some UI designers from Apple.
What happens if Apple employees at that level try to leave? They must just get sued into oblivion.
And they,
They're
probably killed.
They're probably eliminated.
I don't.
There's like a bunch of assassins with black turtlenecks, sweaters,
with
blue jeans.
with white Apple logos in their chest that just run around.
The ninjas, the Apple ninjas.
I just have this vision of an employee agreement where it's like, if you leave Apple, you can work in farming as long as you don't touch a computer. You can teach skiing.
They probably get one medical benefit. They go in for surgery, have this big scar on their forehead. And
Actually, Apple employees leave all the time. As long as Steve Jobs doesn't leave, I think and Jonathan Ives doesn't leave.
They're all chipped. They have a giant map.
Right.
Google Maps.
Microsoft. Bill Gates says, "We do not fear Google." That's a direct quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Boy, when you start saying things like that,
You're scared.
you're scared to death.
Shouldn't make those comments.
We're not scared.
Well, he prefaced it by saying they're a very serious, big competitor. I mean, I'm paraphrasing.
Well, it's interesting because you would think operating system company, web search engine.
Web services.
Web services, because web services are taking over the roles of a lot of software.
Open
now.
Who
Office
needs an
Online.
OS? Who needs an OS?
Just sitting there thinking of him sitting like, we have nothing to fear but fear itself.
Just wait, man. Google's going to get slapped with an antitrust suit in about 3 years.
Do you think Bill Gates
yeah.
gets trick or
I agree.
treaters
Google's taking over the world.
at his house?
You think what?
Bill Gates gets trick or treaters. You and I could go as Sergey and Larry.
Yeah, but doesn't he
Gates?
have a gate and then a mile of lawn?
Oh, you
before
probably
reaches
can't get
home?
anywhere near the house.
You guys see that online office suite? Where it's, what is it? It's like an
free?
Excel type program? Yeah.
Think free?
Yeah.
That's very cool. That's been around for a while.
It's
It's
a
Java.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like an example, too, of
And
more
now
services.
Microsoft's saying that we are going to support. This is the weirdest thing. They just announced they're going to support the open.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, for reading and you know who it is? It's Ozzy, the Lotus guy. What's his name? Ray Ozzy.
Really?
Who is now at Microsoft. I think he's CTO over there, and comes from kind of a non-Microsoft background.
Mm-hmm.
And Ozzy's saying, yeah, we don't feel a file format should be real proprietary.
Well, wasn't that because, wasn't it Massachusetts or someone that said that we're not going to take
Right.
office unless they
Right.
do the open file
Right.
format or open
Well, they're
office
moving
format?
that way,
Well,
which I think is very interesting.
My biggest problem with using OpenOffice is the fact that I have to save it out as a Microsoft compatible if I want to send it to most people because
Right.
they're using Office.
Well, ideally, and Microsoft always makes noise that they're going to do some sort of XML format. I mean, ideally, there would be a kind of cross-platform. I mean, there's RTF. I use RTF all the time.
Well, there are also some huge arguments on the web talking about OpenOffice where people are comparing the amount of memory, the footprint, and the processor time it takes for OpenOffice to, say, open up a 1,000-table Excel spreadsheet, where it takes 3.5 minutes for OpenOffice versus 15 seconds for. For
Excel's
Excel.
been around a long time.
Yeah.
It's been tuned and tuned and tuned. I mean, what version is it? 15, 16? I mean, it's this. I mean,
But 2 or 3 years from now, free
OpenOffice, yeah.
versus, some of these guys at the Fortune 500s are going to say, hey, do we really want to spend, $500,000 renewing our Office license this year, or should we just go for free?
But think of all the time you'll save when you shave 3 seconds off.
well, and I think that businesses aren't that short-sighted. I think they don't look at the cost of the software. They look at the overall cost of training
Maintaining
and
it,
support
yeah.
The
and
company I
all
used
of
to
that
work
stuff.
for was busted by, they had a disgruntled ex-employee who called up Microsoft, no, a couple jobs back, but he called up Microsoft and they came down and it turned out
sure.
there was less than 1% of the systems in the company had some version
Legitimate.
of some problem with the software load. Yeah.
Can they just come in? They can't just come in.
Oh yeah, the BSA. They come in.
They essentially
They
can.
audit
They have
you.
nice
But the thing
patches.
is, that prompted the company then to dump every piece of Windows software in the entire company, switch it all over to Linux, hire a couple of IT guys, and then they were able to customize every load on every desktop. It's like, why does my account need a web browser?
Right.
It's like, I don't want them surfing the web. Don't put that on here. It's like,
Wow,
but
that's
now
great.
they spend next to nothing. They can keep the same old hardware they've had forever, which is another big benefit of using Linux. And
Wow.
it's a really neat solution. It's a good example, I think, for a lot of companies.
And they've been happy. It's worked for them.
It
Very
productivity is
interesting.
the same, and they have more control over
How can
user
it work if I
desktops
can't
and
surf at my desk?
far less IT trouble. Like right now,
That's really interesting.
We have game viruses running all over the place at work.
Really?
I don't know how people do it. It's just I never seem to get any of this stuff. But
I don't either. I haven't had a virus in what
That you
6
know
years.
of.
Well, no, seriously. Well, I have
You sure you're not
AVG.
rooted?
It's not.
Well, if you had a rootkit on there, you wouldn't know.
I have firewall. I'm good. I mean, seriously.
What you don't know
Well,
won't hurt you.
I hate how people they freak out. There's so much like fear. Like there's a hacker on my machine. No,
There
there's
is a
not.
lot of that. There is a lot of that. People really do freak out. They
They
assume
freak out.
anything goes wrong. They assume,
This
oh,
is a
I'm
hacker.
hacked.
My mom calls me every other week.
Who's going to hack it?
You know, my CD drawer opens all the time. That's not.
It
Because
does.
your kid presses the button.
I'm like, wait a second. if your
That's
CD
not
drawer
right.
That's so funny. I was
Open
talking
orifice.
to a high school kid, and his like final prank before he just graduated high school was to actually add to the kernel of the Linux system they had in their network was to where it open and close all the CD drawers, and there was just no way to stop it.
it's in the kernel.
They had to basically reload everything
Yeah.
because they actually stuck it into the kernel itself. And I was just like, dude, that's cool.
That is one argument against open source is that you've got the source.
Dun, dun,
You can
dun,
recompile.
dun,
You can rebuild.
I need a new feature.
Microsoft's actually going up against 13 spam operations that are zombieing computers. I mean, that I think is there really is an argument against Windows users and normal people using Windows because they have a hard time securing it, and almost all the spam that's being sent right now is zombie PCs running Windows.
You won't even know
Exactly.
it.
And they don't know
There's
it.
a lot of spam still being run by legitimate.
Well, no, what they do
ISPs.
is they create. Probably, possibly, but what's happening is you get these people in Eastern Europe, and you're right, they originate the spam. But what they do is they use these zombie computers to distribute it all over the United States. So the FTC is
And they
joining
make
with
money
Microsoft.
doing it.
They
Good
make a
money.
lot of money. You bet.
Yeah.
They get like 10 cents, 7 to 10 cents
They
a
hire
computer.
great programmers to write good viruses to take over systems and
And that was,
cash in.
tired of the Cold War. All the governments invested heavily in computer programming and science.
So you get a lot of
and
Romanians who have no jobs, and
But they all have
good
PhDs in
programmers.
mathematics or something.
who knows? So you think that ISPs are still relaying spam
I was
intentionally?
I was in one of my welding classes like 6 months ago. Like, okay, everybody get out of your system. I'm learning how to TIG weld. All right, I have issues. It's an off-road thing.
Give him that shock.
Give me my shock.
He needs the shock. This is. You should
I'm
take
so
this for.
ready.
If you
Mig
came
and
down
TIG.
the road with a skirt, and that, and that,
Scared the hell out of a cop on the way over.
yeah.
Because when you're walking around with a
It looks
The
like
ladies dig it though, man.
gun of some. Look at that. That looks like a weapon.
It's like a super soaker.
It does. It's like aluminum super soaker.
From
Very
fire.
painful.
There's a product like high-end super soakers made of aluminum and
there's some out
titanium.
there.
Are
There's
there?
some really
It's not a fire
scary
hydrant.
ones.
Did you see the guys that modified them, made them flamethrowers? Those are kind of
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Well,
amazing.
you put butane in it, but they're plastic, don't they?
Yeah,
melt?
they put metal tips in
One
the
time
end.
use.
It's fun to make.
Don't
flamethrowers.
try that at home.
Please,
by the way.
kids.
Yeah.
Hey, water cut's better than lasers. Yeah, usually. If you're
At
going to
high
cut
enough
through like so
pressure.
much steel.
Yeah,
Especially
but you
if
have
you
to
put
use grid
silicone in
water
it.
too, don't you?
Yeah.
It's not just
Depending on the
tap
material.
water.
Yeah. But they.
You need a
You ever see how Levi's cuts jeans?
So
with
in your
lasers?
welding class,
Looks
I'm
awesome.
sorry, we
Oh,
got
fun
distracted
just to
by
watch.
welding.
Well, the guy was sitting there. Me almost not actually by me, but by 4 other people. Like, I've been in telecommunications. We make money off. Basically, he's like talking about all the immigrants they've fleeced through. Really bad deals for calling cards. The ones you like pick up
I
at
know, that's such a
pharmacies and
scam.
stuff.
That's so sad.
And how that allowed him to bankroll like servers, and
No,
he's
these
like, he
guys have
still
no
makes a
ethics.
huge. Well, it's just
No.
like he's got he still makes huge money off of basically running open, basically figuring out a way to
Open
do open
relays.
relay service for spammers, and he's basically in there talking about his, the incredibly expensive Italian sports car that he's restoring, and his, it's just sitting there, and you're like,
Enjoy it now because you're going to hell, sir.
No.
If there is a hell, that's
Be living
who's
fat
there.
on some island making 20% more likely.
So is there anyone who hasn't traveled overseas recently that needs to get a new passport?
Oh yeah.
I heard that. I'm getting a new one in February.
And so you're
And
going to
will I get the chip?
you're going to beat the cut if...
When do they start putting? They're putting RFID in these things.
I have to get
So
my
does
phone.
it go with even like I have like another 4 years left
Yeah, you
So-
won't have to get a new one, but the next one you get. But mine runs out in February, so I'm getting one
It's all
probably
about
pretty
the
soon.
microwave oven.
They say by
already-
next year they want to do all
They're
the
already
passports.
swiping and scanning current passports. So
Yeah,
there's already all sorts of embedded information.
Well, there's a
so
barcode on it. that's
After
all.
October 2006.
Oh, so I
everyone
have
It
will
just
have
makes
an
it simply
RFID.
harder to duplicate another barcode. Instead, it just takes that whatever that number is and
Right.
drops it into a chip that they can scan.
Are there any
64
safeguards,
kilobyte
privacy
RFIDs.
safeguards? Somebody told me they're going to
Aluminum
use foil pages on either side of it.
We'll find
No,
out.
that they're actually going to do that to make it so that you can't read them.
It'll be interesting to see what it turns out to be when it ships.
Put in a little lead.
A lot of RFID experts have told me they're not that readable. You got to get pretty close.
I've seen somebody read an RFID tags from 60 feet away.
6-0?
6-0. And it takes
Oh, that was a DEF CON, right?
yeah, that was John's crew.
I think that would almost
John Herring's crew.
fry it in the process.
Was it a microwave receiver?
I guess
No,
you
you got
just
a
use
sensitive enough receiver.
It was a big old honking antenna, and so it's
And that's the fear, is that if you're carrying a passport, somebody, well, of course, then they have to decode it, although presumably that won't be so hard to do.
It can't. There's.
I hope they do a better job than Xerox did in coding the color laser.
So is it
printer
an
tops.
active radio frequency that comes out of it, or is he just bouncing a radio wave?
Yeah, how does that
You
work?
ping
You,
it.
you bounce something off.
So
it,
you're
right?
I can try to explain it, but I'll screw it up so
I
bad.
believe
I'm
it
not
just,
even
you're
gonna try.
exciting it, and then it simply emits using the energy that it receives.
Just like his shock.
Exactly. Yes. Like the ones that are same thing as what
You
you put in
excite his
pets.
shock and it emits.
It emits.
I
You
just
love
wanted
your
to
pet,
get
get it
groceries.
shipped.
So
I'm
basically,
gonna walk out of the grocery store
I
and
could
be
predict-
done.
I hate it. These grocery stores now, these cheap, it's like Albertsons does
Oh,
this.
the self-checkouts?
This self-checkouts.
Yeah.
I hate
What?
this.
They're everywhere.
And there's a
They're
guy
in Home
standing
Depot.
there.
They are at Home Depot.
and the guy
hates-
looking at you.
He's looking at you like, I'm going to steal something. And there really isn't much to
I'm
keep you from
buying a box of Nilla wafers.
And it always says put it in the basket, and then you put it in, and it never registers
No,
it.
it's a pain in the butt.
No, I think the trick is just to refuse to use them and hope that they'll give up and
go
go
to the
back to
human.
hiring people.
I think people go to the
I think it
humans.
started out with
In
didn't
some-
Walmart or something start with those, or
First one I saw was in a supermarket, actually an upscale supermarket in San Diego.
Sometimes it works better though.
because only the poor
Sometimes the
people would
lines are
actually
don't
have
sell,
someone
and nobody
else.
wants to use it because
Shake
it's a
them
little
out.
more work.
I
but
use them. I don't have any problem with it. I mean, as long as you know exactly what to expect. It's like trying to use a voice recognition system, and if you're standing there in the street, you know it's not going to work. But if you know exactly how to hold your hand over the phone
Dude, I'll
and how
tell
to
you where it
enunciate
saves you.
correctly,
Are the
then
home
you can fly
improvement
through
stores?
It,
But it's
it's not user friendly yet.
You
You
talk
got-
about
it's
one
not
thing in home
user-friendly.
improvement
There's
store.
a
It's a
lot of-
4-hour experience just trying to get in and out of
Yeah,
there.
you set
At
your
least
bag
you have that.
here, it weighs it, you drag it, you put it in the other bag over here, it
Yeah.
weighs it again, your money goes in here, your change comes out here, the credit card slot is here, the screen is here at an angle you can't read.
Well,
it's
then that's
the
bad.
worst.
Then that's
it's
bad
the
user
worst
interface.
design
They need
ever.
someone.
They give you 5% off.
you know what?
Do they?
do?
No, I said that
No.
was nice
They
if they
should.
did. 'cause
You know
you're
what they
saving
do?
money.
Just do what they used, at some supermarkets. Just check me out through a regular, and I'll bag it myself.
No, I want a bagger. I want a checkout clerk. I want them to ask me paper or plastic and say, have a nice
Do you
day.
have a guy that takes your groceries out for you? or do
Yes,
you-
I
No,
do.
are
When you get over, when you
They
get to be
offer
my
that
age, they'll go.
Oh, they say, "Would you
At
like some help?" And
Safeway.
you say yes.
Yeah, they do it to everybody at Safeway.
But see, what Kevin was saying was the ideal situation. You walk into the store and you have your your credit card has a little RFID type tag on it.
Yeah.
You grab everything you want, stick it in your cart, and walk out the door.
That would be
That
cool.
charges
That's what
you.
I want.
That's
yeah,
what Walmart wants.
Yeah,
to do,
how long is it
probably.
going to be before that? You know somebody's going to park a van out front with an antenna inside it and be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, already they're doing RFID.
Why do you have that carpet cleaning van in your parking lot for the third month in a row?
Save us all.
IMDb is 15 years old. Happy birthday, IMDb. Can you believe it's 15?
That's really
Yeah,
scary.
I'm still. I don't.
Wait a minute. Was there an internet in 1990?
Nope.
No.
No.
How
So
did
do they
you
say
do
that? Where did you get that information?
From the LA Times.
Jesus.
They didn't start online.
So
well, the internet.
Well, there was an internet. Just the web was 1 year old. It mustn't
Maybe-
have been a website. It
maybe
must have been
it's
So
just a
that shows
database.
that the military is
database
in bed
offline.
with Hollywood. Been there a long time. They were on ARPANET, the movie
don't know.
database. No.
It was a British guy.
He founded what would eventually become the Internet Movie Database.
Oh, so it was in his closet for the first 10 years.
He had a giant
Send me
giant
email. Send me
Rolodex.
There's a
mail.
everyone knows.
It used to be GeoCities/IMDb.
That's it, rec.arts.movie. So it was a news group.
Oh. It's the number 44 website on the internet according to Alexa.
Are you serious?
I use it all the time, don't you?
If
like
you
see-
if you look up any actor or actress, generally one of the top 4 links, even if they have a big fan club site,
You
is
could-
Tom Cruise. One of the top 4 is going to be their IMDb profile.
I think you're still
Really?
in it, right,
Yeah.
Leah?
I'm in there, yeah.
I'm still in
Are
there.
you in there? Yeah. They don't have a picture. You have to pay them
Yeah.
to carry a picture of you.
Yeah.
And you know what? Someone foobarred mine because they combined mine with another Roger Chang.
There's more than one?
So
I just see
actually
Roger on Google all the time. Google ads.
Supposedly, I'm in a movie that I
He's
made
in like
in
a
1990.
slasher
They,
for
they confuse him with George
Oh
Takei.
my gosh. Have you guys seen Roger? He's on Google Ads everywhere.
No.
Do you know that?
Yes, we talked about it.
Whoa. Okay,
I've been
back,
using it
guys,
for.
let's
I've
say.
been using it. I used it
I
2 days,
hate
and now
Google.
I can't stop.
They should pay you each time.
No,
that
in
pops
fact,
I can't
we
deal with
mentioned
that
it
to
in
be
a
paid
tweet a while
attention.
ago, and somebody sent me the link, the image
There
to it,
it
and I
is.
put it in the.
Ah.
You type
put it
in
the
Tech
tweet.
TV into Google.
I
Roger
started
Chang.
using it 2 days ago, and I can't
Can't stop
What is
using
it? You don't even know what it
You
is?
see more.
You see more. It was
It's
a piece of.
hilarious.
It wasn't even my pick. It was like
baby.
someone else's. It's like, all right, I'll do it.
That's great.
That was at the time the affirmation that we needed, that Tech TV mattered. Not anymore.
Oh, you mocked me.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap this sucker up?
I saw a funny story. I don't know. It's something that's coming out in the journal Nature, I think. It was talking about Einstein and Darwin and the number of letters they receive and the number of letters they sent out, and they said they're very characteristic of the way people like us use email. And I don't know who kept these.
But they
kind
were
of
like
saying, like,
precursors of.
Einstein sent more than 14,500 letters, but he received more than 16,200. Responded to a quarter of them. Darwin mailed 7,500 letters, and he responded 32%.
I get
don't know
1,600
how do they
letters
keep
a
this
day.
Because they're also talking about how many of them responded within 10 days versus responding within 50 days, and they're talking about like their habits are very similar to the type of habits people that receive a lot of
Fun to
email
have
are.
with your
and
graduate
you can create an
students.
algorithm that predicts how many people are going to respond to emails to what people. And
They obviously got
sort of fun
grant money.
studies.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense, though. They were probably early examples of people who get a lot of mail, right?
But
I mean,
you had
that's
to
the
actually
idea.
sit down, write
I wonder if they got a lot of
Well, that's a
spam.
lot of work. I have shortcuts. I use TextPander, and I can type a 3-letter abbreviation for most of the stuff that I write. So I'll open an email, and even then I still can't answer every email I get, but it sure saves a lot of time.
So three letters and
So if I type GG4, it says, I'm giving away my secrets now. Thank you very much for your support. We're really glad to be back on G4 Tech TV, and we couldn't have done it without your cards and letters. So keep watching, and we're trying to get a better time. And then, and then I.
People crying right now. They're like, I thought I received an email from Leo.
So when I'm in the hospital, you send me a get well card.
Yeah, it was just 3 letters.
Throw a
Press
rubber
the send
stamp.
button, though, right?
I do press the send button myself. I don't have an
That's all it
assistant.
is.
You know what? You need to make it just a recursive action.
Well, I do. No, I have a
AppleScript.
number of different boilerplates, so I can combine.
But just make it an AppleScript so you can get a list of all the names that you have a certain form letter you need to send to.
It would be nice if somebody would write this, I would appreciate it. Some sort of artificial intelligence thing that could look at the message and know what my answer would be, right? So that I don't even have to think
I
about
think
it.
IBM's working on
Yeah,
that.
just a few keywords.
You just have to
know?
let Google implant a cookie. in
Blue
your
Google
Leo.
could do this. Google could do this. Just see the 12 keywords. If they mention G4 and welcome back, or glad to have you back,
and try
or
not to say synergy or leverage.
or you're a jerk, and then just
It could be
thank
like
you very
Mad Libs.
much.
It could just throw in different
Throw
nouns,
verbs.
adjectives, and verbs.
A 2-syllable verb.
It rhymes with orange.
So how do you keep up? How do you keep up with all like piles of old? Do you have to go through and batch delete a bunch of stuff, or what do you do?
What do you mean?
Old
After I
emails.
answer them?
No, like
Oh,
like
I have
stuff
every
that you
email
just-
I ever got. I have
They're just
gigabytes of email.
He's actually going to open a library.
Well, no. Someday they'll do a study on me, and they'll say,
Leo Laporte.
he was a precursor of holographic email systems.
The Leo Laporte Presidential Library.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I smoked far too much pot for that.
Gmail account.
No, actually, it's not the pot; it's the acid that'll really get me.
Is this going to be in the podcast?
Why not?
I think the tape's rolling right now. I don't
See, now if you
Heads are
beep
nodding.
just the words,
Are you going to be at the?
No
It
idea.
could be
it
anything.
could be anything.
Patrick said the S word a couple. Maybe it was last time at the time, and I got all this email. What did he say? What did he say? And I said, it's not that interesting, frankly. but you're right. There's
Fuel the
a
fire.
great book called Memoirs of a Shy Pornographer, where the guy writes a normal bad novel. Never gets it published, so he cuts out all the verbs and nouns, and people interpret it as pornography. And he's a huge bestseller.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anybody see the Copyright Office is looking for feedback on the
Yes.
DMCA, November 2nd through December
Like they'll
1st, 2005. Interesting to see what happens.
They can't do anything anyway, can they? I mean,
They have
Congress
amendments to it
passed
already,
a law.
though.
Congress passed a law. Congress has to make the change, not the Copyright
Wow.
Office.
Maybe if enough people shout out the Congress people
Well, I
looking
would
towards
hope so.
re-election,
Ars
will
Technica
start
had a
making
good
Pat
article on
Leahy
that.
was proposing an amendment, a few amendments to the DMCA. I mean, the issue with the digital millennium, I love saying that, Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Millennium-
I always want to say the
Millennium
Millennium
Act.
Falcon Copyright Act. But that's a
to-
George Lucas production.
According to Ars Technica, after its last look at the DMCA, I'm just quoting, starting. The Copyright Office in 2003 issued a handful of exemptions to the law, including software protected by dongles in the case where the dongle was broken or obsolete, along with video games distributed in formats that have become obsolete. And which require the original media or hardware as a condition of access.
That means
emulators.
That means a ROM would be legal, right?
Oh, yeah.
If the distributed format
the scariest
has become
sound
obsolete
I've ever seen.
and the original media or hardware is a condition of access, it sounds like it.
That would be so. If I had a Galaxian ROM, I can't. The hardware's obsolete.
What defines it as obsolete? Does obsolete mean you can't find the hardware, or that it's no longer produced new anymore? Or
I believe
Can't
it's
find
just
it
the
in
new
my
part.
town.
I'll give you the
can't buy it.
If I gave you the whatever the ROM chip for a Galaxian game and said here,
I'll volunteer to call the copyright office and ask them and see what they say.
this is Mr. Meme, and I've been writing this program. I think that's what that says. We need to get Cory Doctorow
They
in
give
here.
you some.
I love Ars Technica. Have they not become a good news site?
They have.
Well,
What happened there? I mean, they're like Wired News all of a sudden for geekdom.
I see them all over the place now.
They're smart. They're
What's this
focused,
week
they're
in
fast.
Google?
They've got some very talented
Everybody's
people.
doing this weekend.
I don't know, I just
It's
saw it,
driving
I
me
clicked on
crazy.
it.
They're in depth, like especially like when their processor and hardware.
This week in Google. Oh,
did
so
Martin say?
Ars
remember,
Technica?
okay, this is
Yeah.
funny. Okay, so Martin's going to do his podcast on
Martin.
Revision 3.
Yeah.
So the name of the show is going to be called, and also it's going to be called something to do. It's got the word infected in it. But he was thinking, I want to name it This
Puss
Week.
Chronicles.
This week, and like
This
you
Week
know what?
in Net.
No. How about This Week About Tech? And what's it stand for?
No,
What's that stand for?
I already went through all of that before.
No, but you know.
Yeah, I know what
Yeah.
you're saying. I know what you're saying.
I thought it was.
So he's gonna. So podcast is gonna publish through Rev 3.
Yes.
That's
he's-
great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We'll bring him up here for crying out loud.
He should come up. He was up
Martin.
here last weekend or something.
No.
Oh no.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't up here.
If
he
he
was.
ever comes to Bay
Oh, he
Area,
was up here, but on Friday.
That's right.
And then Saturday
He
was
was on
down
the
there.
Friday. That
He was
doesn't
up there.
count.
For the
I
big,
know. I'm wrong all
he
of a
was
sudden.
down there for the big Equinix thing. I know. You're wrong.
we want Marty to be here, and he can wear his slippers. It's okay. He
And he
doesn't
can play
have to.
Scrabble
He doesn't
while
have
he
to
talks to
sober
us.
up. Is that his big thing, Scrabble?
Wasn't he? Didn't he used to do that at the
No,
bar?
you're going to ruin his reputation if you tell people he plays Scrabble.
No, he used to go to a bar.
Bar dice.
Yeah.
That's what he's
Was
playing.
it?
What was the bar he always used to go to? What was that?
Which
And-
one?
The Uptown.
Uptown.
That's right.
Oh, God.
That's not a bar. That's a lifestyle choice.
I have to say though, the graphic at Sarge World, that picture of him at the bar is the greatest picture. Was that posed? What's the story with that? You know?
I think.
We have to ask
I think
him.
Joey
That's
took
his
it.
Was there
daily
a
routine.
was there a photo? Was there like a photo shoot, or he was just there and Joey got
just
the
there, I'm
shot?
sure.
I think they said.
Because that guy, I mean, the old guy to his right. I mean, I love that guy. Can you get his address?
Are we supposed to have
No, I mean, it's a great picture. Yeah. Show them so they can. Because we'll put it
I
on
don't know if
the.
you can get that picture.
That's
of Marty.
Really
Candid.
upgrading the video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shot
You think
behind
that's
your
canon?
shoulder.
I
They
think
could
so.
have done a photo shoot. They say, okay, Martin, don't shave for a few days. Look hungover.
Guy next to him's like-
and we'll get a guy from Central
got the,
Casting.
"What are these
Look
fruitcakes
at this guy.
doing?" look.
I know he looks like a longshoreman. Isn't he great? I mean, it's just great.
Looks like Martin
That is
just
a great picture.
got
Is
fired
that-
from his job.
I don't know what bar he's in.
Maybe
Is that the Arsenal?
he wrote me a note saying it. Well, he wasn't fired. Okay, so not with the F word. Okay, he's very sensitive. His show was canceled, and he had an office for quite a while at G4.
Yeah, and he was lucky because he didn't have to go.
Right.
He's chilled at
He was
home.
under contract. So let's get Marty on the show.
Are you going to the Digital Media Expo?
No, when's that?
You know?
When is that?
The Portable Media.
Oh,
Media
we
Expo.
should mention that. In fact, you're all invited to be down there in Ontario. Can you come November 12th? Come on.
I can't.
I'm going to be
2.8
there.
million
Alex
is already
Albrecht's going to be
based
there.
on-
But,
That's right.
but I
That's
called
it.
him up to get a press pass, and they said, well...
You know, Alex can fill in for.
They said,
Kevin.
well, I don't know.
Alex said
I
he's
don't
gonna go.
know. And then,
Oh,
like,
just give me
about
the name.
No.
I'll talk to
This
Tim.
whole story is like, well, I do the show. Our company does dictation. We do a bunch of stuff with TWiT. In fact, you know what? He says, well, if you give me a shout out on TWiT, I'll get you a press pass.
Oh, what's his name? Tim Birkin.
No, I don't remember, but I said I would. So.
We're doing TWiT from the show
I know.
floor.
But the thing, it's funny that I had to say all that. It's like, okay, we'll give you a press pass.
Anyway, the Podcast Expo, we're going to do TWiT Live there Saturday, November 13th in Ontario. And Alex will just fill in for Kevin.
Alex will be there for
That's
sure.
cool.
We'll put a black
That's
wig on
cool.
him.
Yeah. Can you
have to
save
go-
the night suit for him with the glittery shoulders?
Yes, I
Yeah,
can.
he'll look good in that.
I'll take
Spandex?
Are you going to
No
come down,
spandex.
Roger?
I will see. I do not know yet.
I thought, David, are you going to come down?
Yeah.
It's just going to be me. Patrick, you're coming.
I'm supposed to.
You're supposed to.
Now my wife knows.
Yeah, all right. You're on your way to Baja.
Well,
It's on the way to Baja.
yeah, it gets kind of, we'll talk about that later.
Robert, you're coming, right?
Oh, where?
Never mind. I'll tell you later. Another twit is in the can. No word from Kat yet. Huh?
No, I'm waiting.
This week. This week. Maybe characters just unlocked. This week. This is a crap society. This is a crap generation. This week. There's crap everywhere. There's ads everywhere. This week. Arrogant tech. Cranky old man. This week in tech. And this has been the week from hell. I mean, everything's going on now. Now our server's dead. This week in tech. Yeah, all right. Week in tech. 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 My friends, my twits, are you ready? Yeah, the twit army. I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. This week. Microsoft poo-pooed it. This week. They denied it's their problem. This week on your system. And you're dead. This week. It's a fool's paradise. This week.
This is amazing.
In tech.